Hey guys, today I want to talk more about Project Bluebeam, and I'm going to make the case that the Project Bluebeam alien arrival is going to happen at Hudson Bay in Canada. I'm going to show you some predictive programming, predictive content and symbolism that connect Project Bluebeam with Hudson Bay. And I've talked about Project Bluebeam here in a couple of these videos, and I'll leave a link in the description to a playlist. There's more of my thoughts on Project Bluebeam, and you guys can check out those videos. You'll have a better understanding of what I'm trying to show you guys here. I have a lot of content to go through to make my case here, so this video is probably going to be kind of long. I tried to organize it the best I could. There's just a lot to go through, and I actually had to leave a lot out because I had too much, but hopefully you'll get the idea. If you're not familiar with my channel, I show the number coding from the book of Revelation, and specifically the Wormwood event from Revelation 8:11, the falling wormwood star. I'm going to tie this all together into Hudson Bay and Project Bluebeam as well. Revelation is full of many mathematical Easter eggs, and I'm just trying to put those together and decipher it the best I can and show it to you guys. I'm also going to be talking about this bridge theme and a blue and gold theme that go along with this Hudson Bay and Project Bluebeam symbolism as well. This is the Gold Coast of New Jersey. There's a lot of landmarks and different events happened in this area that point towards Hudson Bay in Canada. And I've gotten a lot of great comments in my last several videos. Got some brilliant comments from Lambda 115 and Bobby from the Falcor 2 channel. We share information pretty much on a daily basis. So you guys should check these guys out too as well. They've been a big help to some of the stuff that I'm showing you guys here. 9/11. I'm going to show you guys here in a second some really cool stuff here with the Project Bluebeam and Hudson Bay Wikipedia pages. But 9/11 began the countdown to the events of Revelation. And if we look at the 9/11 memorials here I have pictured, we have the Tribute in Light, which is kind of an obvious reference to Project Bluebeam. We have the Hudson Waterfront Memorial with these trident structures from the remains of the Twin Towers, and it was no coincidence that these were made to look like tridents. These are a reference to the planet Neptune, and planet Neptune sits at the top of the Tree of Life. Then we have the 9/11 Greenwich Memorial, which is kind of a time portal reference with its spiral design here. And if we look at the Twin Towers themselves that fell on 9/11, they were 1,362 and 1,368 feet. So it was a total of 2,730 feet combined that fell on 9/11. And I'm going to be showing you guys this number in a couple different forms here. Without the zero, we have the 273. And what makes 273 so interesting, or key to this ritual with 9/11, is that the 273rd verse of Revelation is Revelation 16:16. and he gathered them into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. And this is the only reference to Armageddon in the Bible. So I'm going to be showing you guys this 273 as we go along here. Armageddon, of course, is the gathering of the armies in the final battle, and they gather at the hill of Megiddo. And I've talked about this a little bit before, but the chapters and verses of Revelation, some of them are strategically placed kind of in the context of frequency, and a lot of time references in Revelation. And what's interesting about 9/11 is that they reference Abaddon, and Abaddon gathers the souls in the valley of Jehoshaphat for the final judgment. So the final battle and the final judgment happen at a hill in a valley, which is a time reference or a frequency reference. I kind of wanted to flesh this out more in my last video that I did on Back to the Future. The lightning strike on the Hill Valley Courthouse. Of course, a courthouse is a place of judgment. And it happened at 10:04 p.m., which leaves 1 hour 56 minutes, and 9/11 is the 156th prime. So there's your reference to Abaddon and Revelation 9:11 again. Abaddon and Apollyon are interchangeable in Revelation 9:11. I'm also going to be talking about this 9:55 in this video. I've showed you this before, but if you take 9:11 a.m. and we add 404 minutes for the 404 verses in Revelation, that gets us to gets us 9:55, and 12/31/2019 is 955 weeks after 9/11. You're talking about the 12/31 quite a bit as well. And one of the first things that turned me on to Hudson Bay in Canada, an event that kind of pointed me that way, was this Flight 1549 that landed on the water in the Hudson River right over the Lincoln Tunnel, and it was supposedly brought down by Canadian geese. It landed on the water at 3:31 p.m. And that's also a Revelation reference. The 331st prime is 2221, and 2221 is the 404th and final verse of Revelation. And for your 955 symbolism here, or reference, there were 95 minor injuries and 5 serious injuries. And it landed on the Hudson River, which is on the Gold Coast of New Jersey. Hudson Bay itself is named after Henry Hudson, and he began exploring Hudson Bay on August 2nd, 1610, and this was 273 days before the release of the King James Bible on May 2nd, 1611. There's your 273 reference to the Armageddon Revelation 16:16 verse. And Hudson Bay is frozen from mid-December to mid-June. And another interesting 273 is that water freezes at 273 Kelvin. A very interesting reference there to temperature. Hudson Bay has a symbolic bridge called the Arctic Bridge, and it's a shipping route that runs kind of east to west from the Arctic Ocean. And Hudson Bay is actually part of Arctic Ocean Subdivision 911. And what I wanted to show you guys here with the Project Bluebeam and Hudson Bay Wikipedia pages, if we look at the dates that they were created, The Hudson Bay Wikipedia page was created on June 21st, 2002. And if we look at that in relation to 9/11, the Hudson Bay Wikipedia page was created on the 9th month and 11th day after 9/11. And the Project Bluebeam Wikipedia page was created on June 8th, 2009. And that was exactly 404 weeks total after 9/11. And that's for the 404 verses in Revelation. Kind of interesting that they coded their own Wikipedia pages to Revelation and to 9/11 there. But this Arctic bridge, I believe, is going to symbolically collapse during the events of Revelation. There's a lot of symbolism that I've been watching on some other YouTube channels about the Golden Gate Bridge collapsing. But I believe that all the Golden Gate symbolism and predictive programming that you see for the Golden Gate Bridge actually points to Hudson Bay, the Arctic Bridge. Hudson Bay has another bay connected to it called James Bay, which of course is probably a reference to the King James Bible. But the Arctic Bridge that runs east to west here, the symbolic Arctic Bridge, is what I believe is going to collapse. I've shown a lot of different landmarks and numbers here associated with the great earthquake in this area of the country, especially around Michigan, Lake Michigan and Chicago. So something big definitely I think is going to happen at Hudson Bay. Whether it's the events of Armageddon or the alien arrival. But something big is definitely going to happen there. I'm going to take a look at some predictive programming here in a few movies. I want to take a look at Bruce Willis here. He recently did a Comedy Central roast. And one of the things in this roast, they were making fun of him for his box office bomb, Hudson Hawk. And one of the roasters was Dennis Rodman. And of course, he's known as the Worm for your Wormwood reference. And the Hudson Hawk bomb reference. It's kind of self-explanatory, I guess. But this movie, Hudson Hawk, is a really coded movie. It kind of follows the theme of Leonardo da Vinci's turning lead into gold. That's the theme of the movie. Leonardo da Vinci's alchemy secret of turning lead into gold. And they need to collect some pieces for a machine that creates the gold. And at the beginning of the movie, the first heist that they have to do at a museum, they sing the song Swinging on a Star, which is a reference to the falling Wormwood star. And while they're singing that song, they show the time clock at 12:31. It's also interesting that when they're doing the heist, that they take all of the security camera footage, rewind it, and play it back so the guards don't know what they're doing. And this is kind of, I think, a reference to Project Bluebeam in the context that what you see when the time comes, they're going to show you something on television that's going to be completely different than what's actually happening. Just kind of a theme or a thought I had there with this whole scene here. And then while Bruce Willis is singing the song. Right when he opens the safe, he references the pig, and of course this year is the year of the pig, and I've covered some of that symbolism as well. And what they're stealing in the movie, in the first heist, is this horse model, Leonardo da Vinci's model of the Forza. And this is the reason it's in a horse, is because it's referencing Neptune. Neptune is also the Roman god of horses. And we had our Neptune memorial here on the Hudson waterfront, our 9/11 memorial, a reference to Neptune as well. And the reason Neptune is so important is that it sits at the top of the tree of life. Sometimes this is interchangeable with Pluto, but I believe Neptune is the correct reference, and it's the symbol for the ether. The ether, or the infinite, is at the top of the tree of life, and it represents the marriage of heaven and earth. And it's interesting that the symbol of the ether is also similar to the Ukraine coat of arms, because the Chernobyl disaster happened in Ukraine, and Chernobyl translates to wormwood in Ukrainian, and they have the symbol of the ether for their coat of arms. And all of this is kind of following an overarching mythology between Saturn, Jupiter, and Neptune. In mythology, Jupiter and Neptune are brothers, and their father is Saturn. And that's kind of one of the overarching mythologies that a lot of these references and rituals are following. This is Ghostbusters 2. The opening scene here, Peter Venkman hosts the World of the Psychic, and he's talking about the end of the world, and his first guest tells him that the world will end on December 31st, and his second guest tells him that the world will end on Valentine's Day in 2016. And I've showed you this guy before, but Valentine's and Revelation share identical gematria. So when they're talking about Valentine's Day, they're talking about Revelation. And supposedly this lady got her information from an alien at a Holiday Inn in Paramus, New Jersey. And what's interesting about that, it's a Project Bluebeam, or a blue theme that they're getting at here, because Paramus, New Jersey has the most restrictive blue laws in the nation. That's why they used Paramus reference here for the blue theme. If you look at the actor Rock Hudson, he made a movie called The Star Maker. And immediately following the movie he made called The Star Maker, there was a miniseries on TV called World War III. And this World War III miniseries premiered on January 31st, 1982. And to 12/31/2019, that's 455 months exactly, which is a reference to the 455-foot Great Pyramid of Giza. There's a movie called The 49th Parallel. The setting is in Hudson Bay, and a German submarine is sunk in Hudson Bay. This movie was released in the United States under the title The Invaders. And if we go from the release date of this movie to 12/31/2019, that's 4,055 weeks. Another 455 for the pyramid reference. The term mutual assured destruction was coined at the Hudson Institute by Donald Brennan. And Donald Brennan has ordinal gematria of 118 which is simply a reflection of 811. And the Hudson Institute was founded by Herman Kahn. His initials are 8, 8th letter and 11th letter, another 811 for our Wormwood reference. And Herman Kahn was born in Bayonne, New Jersey, and that's located in Hudson County. And Herman Kahn has some interesting name gematria, 93 in ordinal gematria, that shares the same gematria as Saturn. And Herman Kahn sums to 273 in English extended. Both very relevant numbers, especially this 273. And I'm going to take a look at Bayonne, New Jersey here. In Bayonne, New Jersey, there's a bridge called the Bayonne Bridge, and this bridge is going to turn 88 years old on November 15th, 2019, and this is 273 days after Herman Kahn's birthday. And Route 440 is the road or the path that goes over the bridge. And what's interesting about 440 is it's a frequency reference. On an 88 key piano, the tuning standard is 440 Hertz. And as I talked about before, Revelation, some of the frequency coding in Revelation is coded in the frequency of middle C. And middle C is 256 Hertz, and that's also 16 times 16. For our reference to Revelation 16:16, the 273rd verse of Revelation, our Armageddon verse. So this Bayonne Bridge is very, very important to this ritual. And what also makes it very interesting is that in the movie The War of the Worlds, the Bayonne Bridge collapses in this movie. So I believe this is a kind of a coded reference to the Project Bluebeam arrival, because the Bayonne Bridge is in Hudson County, kind of a Hudson Bay Project Bluebeam reference again. If we look at Hudson, New York, Hudson, New York is in area code 518, and there were 518 days between the Great American Eclipse and the Super Blood Moon. And I've talked about this before many times, but Revelation 6:12, which references the Great Earthquake, references also a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse. The sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. I believe that's referencing these two eclipses that are 518 days apart. And another 256, or our 1616 reference here, is Huntsville, Alabama, is in the area code 256. And that's where the Apollo program rocket development was, in Huntsville, Alabama. And 6 months before JFK was assassinated, he visited the Redstone Airfield in Huntsville, Alabama on 5/18. Just another part of the ritual there. It's also interesting that this article came out on September 15th, 2013, that Caroline Kennedy, the daughter of JFK, went swimming in the Hudson River for charity. And this September 15th, 2013 date was 1,776 days after President Obama was elected on November 4th, 2008. And I've showed you this before, but Caroline Kennedy will be 62 years and 29 days old on Christmas 2019. And 6229 is the 811th prime number. And Christmas is right in the 955th week after 9/11. Kind of ran through that as quickly as I could. One thing I kind of missed here in reference to the Neptune and Back to the Future theme here. In Back to the Future, Marty, before he begins his time travel, he's singing at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance with Marion Barry and the Starlighters. Very interesting, because I believe that's a reference to the Wormwood star again. And you have your Neptune reference. For your top of the Tree of Life here. And one more thing here, in regards to the 273, if we look at Revelation 19:19, and I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. If we add 19:19 plus 8:11, that gets us that 2730 again. Same as the height of both twin towers on 9/11. And I'll eventually get to this Revelation 19:19 video that I want to do. I'm just going to make that kind of a short focused video, but it'll bring all of this together with this Project Bluebeam symbolism that I've been showing you guys in Wormwood. It kind of ties it all together. And I guess I'll just get to that when I can. Alright guys, I think that's all I have for you. Thanks for watching.